Namaskar. So, very quick recap of what we've covered just in the last 2 weeks. First and foremost, please take yourself back to Arjuna's problem. What is his essential problem? He cannot kill those he loves, those worthy of worship. And how does that apply to us? We are not asked to kill anybody. Basically, the topic under discussion right now in chapter 2 is death. And we understood a few sessions ago that death for us, though it does have implications for our own death and the death of our loved ones, simply means change. All the changes that we go through, everything in life that we want permanent, but it cannot be permanent. We have to understand our folly is that we are looking for permanence in an impermanent world. Our body is impermanent. Our emotions, the relationships we have are impermanent. Our achievements, our acquisitions, our enjoyments, all of it is impermanent. And in that impermanence, not only do we want to hold on to it, which is not possible, but many a times we are called to do things that actually directly attack those things that we love. You must have heard the famous statement, hold the rod, spoil the child. Spare the rod, spoil the child. You know, many a times in our own lives, within ourselves and within people, amongst people that we love, we are asked to do the impossible, to stand by dharma. So there are two things over here that have come into focus. One is, who and what are you? Are you aligned to your highest truth? And the second is, what is the right thing that you have to do in any given moment? So Swadharma and Dharma is what the Gita is asking us to pay attention to all the time. Many a times Dharma might be not something, like there is something right that we have to do, but maybe we are not qualified to do it. But we can contribute in another way. So all this we have to become aware through the consistent and very systematic study of the Bhagavad Gita. Now, if you looked at verse 31, up to from 11 to 31, Krishna is giving Arjuna the highest truth there is to know, because Arjuna is stuck with this problem of his. Before addressing the problem itself, he goes to the highest. He says, look, Arjuna, what he's telling all of us. In the end, we are not the body, we are not the mind, we are not the intellect, we are the eternal self. And the more aligned we are to that eternal self, the more we will be able to handle the impermanent passing of the parade that is happening in front of us 24/7. Now, obviously, I think the first time I came to the Gita class, somebody telling me I am God, I am eternal, shocked the hell out of me. I said, if I am God, why does my life look like this? Why does it pan out like this? I should be able to handle everything. So clearly, Arjuna has not quite understood. Krishna has put that destination. This is who you are. This is where you need to get. To get there, you have to handle all of this right. But it is somehow gone over the head. We assume this because of Krishna's constant, like a Rubik's Cube. He's turning what he wants to tell to Arjuna and bringing it, literally making it roller coaster from the heights to the depths. So now, after telling him the eternal truth, the highest truth, which is even very difficult for us to understand, how can we be Atma when the whole life is falling apart day after day? So he brings it down to the practical, the last few verses that we study. In verse number 31, he makes it very clear to Arjuna. First and foremost, he says, whatever happens, you cannot move away from dharma. You have to perform your duty in this given moment. Is Arjuna's permanent duty to fight wars and kill the human beings that are in front of him? No. Right now, his duty is to fight this war. So in our lives, each moment we have to see what is lying in front of us. Right now, our dharma in this moment, as we look at each other or not, is to study the Bhagavad Gita. That is why we do the opening grounding, just to bring ourselves to the subject. Are there 100 other things that we need to do? Are there 100 other things that we've come from? Absolutely. But in this moment, what is your dharma? Now, what that dharma is, the second thing that Krishna highlights to Arjuna is, your dharma is this yuddha. despite that this battle that you have to perform, you have to fight. And please understand, your Swadharma also calls for it. So it's not a goldsmith that they've picked up from the shop and brought to the battlefield and said, fight. Arjuna's Swadharma, you can say his guna combination, who and what he is. We say you are what you eat. Vedanta says you are what your gunas are. You are what your vasanas are. So Arjuna's vasanas, Arjuna's gunas are that of a warrior. So Krishna is saying that your Swadharma is also aligning with that. And this is a righteous battle. Again, you could have all the gunas of fighting a war. You could have the war in front of you. But many a times you might be a terrorist in that whole mix. And yes, that time it's okay for you to step back and think, should I do this or not? But for you, it is a righteous battle. Please remember the difference between Duryodhana and Arjuna. That is most key. For Duryodhana, this battle was an unrighteous battle. For Arjuna, this is a righteous battle. So the same advice would not have been given to Duryodhana. If Duryodhana came with the same problems to Krishna, Krishna would say, hurrah, you are right. But Arjuna speaking, as we've seen in chapter 1, very right things, very right arguments. Nothing he said is out of the book. But it doesn't align with Swadharma or Dharma. It would have aligned with Duryodhana's Swadharma and Dharma if he had said what Arjuna was arguing with Krishna. So that was verse number 31. Verse number 32, he brings up a few points. Okay, he says, first of all, you're a fortunate warrior. Why are you a fortunate warrior? Because you have got an unsolicited opportunity for two things. All of us have to go look for opportunities to do these two things. Krishna is telling Arjuna, you've got two absolutely wonderful opportunities. That is why you're fortunate. Number one is to live your Swadharma freely. You're a warrior, so you have to just go fighting. You can live out your Swadharma fully. What happens when we live out our Swadharma? If we do what we are supposed to do, what happens?
The karmas are being eliminated. Well,
fantastic. Anything else? Very important word. Your vasanas are reducing. Please do not forget, we are here because of our set of vasanas and karmas. The moment we get an opportunity to exhaust or transcend those vasanas and karmas, we are that much lighter, inching towards the self. So Arjuna has got an unsolicited battleground right now to live out that Swadharma fully exhaust his vasanas, fully live out who he is. And second most thing is, because he is on the side of righteousness, he's fighting a righteous battle, there is natural evolution for the soul. So materially, he's emptying himself out over here. Spiritually, he is evolving. So he says, and this has come to you unsolicited. For the rest of us, we have to go and look, okay, where can I be who I want to be and who I actually am? Most of us are doing many things very paradharma in our life, in all ways. So he's getting an unsolicited opportunity to do that. Now, verse 33. In verse 33, he gives the, if you don't do this, what will happen? If you don't live out your Swadharma, if you do not adhere to Dharma, what is going to happen? He says, first of all, you will embellish your honor. Okay? You have come as a very evolved soul into this battlefield. You're going to just throw that away completely. And second thing is, you will accrue sin. So both ways, in the material world, you're not going to go anywhere because you're a loser, to put it quite simply. You haven't done what you're supposed to be doing. And second thing is, you will accrue sin. Please understand that in chapter 1, many times Arjuna has come back to this point and said, I will get sin. Whatever I achieve through this battle will be bloodied. It will have bloodstains on it. So he was very concerned about committing sin. We understood in verse number 33 that sin actually is agitation of the mind. Papa is agitation of the mind. That happens when either you do the wrong things, nishiddha karma, or you don't do what is right. See, many a times in court also, not just the killer is punished. Have you seen? What is it called? I'm not a lawyer, but the accomplice, the one who's just standing and watching, even he's held to court. So not doing what is right. So though Bhishma Pitama did not come down and derobe Draupadi, he stood. There was a price to pay for that. Dronacharya stood there watching. So please understand, Papa is created by what we do that is wrong and also what we don't do, what we are supposed to do. That we saw very, very clearly in the last verse that we covered, which is verse number 33. Now we'll come to verse 34, 35, 36. They are together, but we'll take them one by one. Okay. So the first verse, 34, 257. We are reading the Sanskrit first and then we'll get into the verse. अकीर्तिं चापि भूतानि कथयिष्यन्ति ते व्ययाम् सम्भावितस्य चाकीर्तिः मरणादतिरिच्यते. What does it say in English? People will speak endlessly of your dishonor, akirti. And for someone who has been honored, sambhavitasya, dishonor, akirtihi, is worse than death, marana. This is verse number 34. So now you see, Krishna has literally dropped. From Atma, he's come to the most mundane. He's come to think about the gossip mongers. Why has he done this? If you look at the way Upanishads are written, Upanishads start, if you go to the first few verses, they start from the highest. You are Atma. So students who come there and listen, you are Atma, who understand it, get up and go. As it goes lower and lower and lower in the Upanishads, there are more and more and more explanations. Finally, many end in stories, like the Keno Upanishad. Beautiful story in the end. For those of us who don't understand. So clearly, whatever Krishna has put out in front of Arjuna about Atma being eternal, body, mind, intellect not being Karana Sharira, Suksha Sharira, all that has gone over his head. He has watched. Best communication happens when there is a feedback loop. That is why this constant insistence on video cameras being on. It's very easy to write a lecture and read it out or to just explain what has been prepared yesterday. But you could be coming with a particular question, you could be coming with a particular thing, you could be stuck in something that is being said. If that feedback loop is there, immediately it can be cleared. So obviously, Arjuna is not showing any signs of recognition. So Krishna comes down and he comes to the very basic. What is he saying over here? He's saying people will talk endlessly about your dishonor. Now, if we think for ourselves, most of our lives are based on what will people think. I know a father who forced his child into engineering. This child did not one, I know two actually. It's so scary that I know two and very close within the family. Forced into a dharma, a paradharma that was not theirs. And when they used to argue, I don't want to do this, I cannot complete this, please, I cannot do this, can I do something else? Both those fathers, interestingly said, in Marathi, मी लोकांना तोंड कसं दाखवू, which means, how will I show my face to others? My child is in this, how can I show my face if you decide to do something else altogether? It breaks my heart to say, both those children, in the prime of their youth, committed suicide. Our entire life, not only Arjuna's, we have to bring it down to ourselves. Our entire life works on what will people think. Please see. This is that vanity, that ego that Krishna tickles in this verse. And Arjuna gets it right away. Now, when you look at repetition, what do people think? It's not only like over here, Krishna is directly saying that if you don't fight this war, what will people think about you? Think about our own lives. Whatever we've made out of ourselves, whoever we think we are, we want the world to hold us in that light. Never do we want that light to be diminished. Never do we want any, kalank on our name. We don't want any cheete on our name. That, oh, this person is not what that person is said to be. We don't want it. In fact, there's one very famous line in Julius Caesar, I might be paraphrasing it, where Mark Antony says, is that the evil that people do lives after them, the good is offered interred with their bones. Have you understood the statement? That you do all your life, you are a Maha Atma. One wrong thing you do, it's over. In relationships, one mistake, it's over. In the corporate, one thing that you just mess up totally, it's over. Very quickly, the human mind goes and settles on what is done wrong. It very quickly tends to forget what is done right. You see? So what Krishna is telling Arjuna is over here. What are the superlative addressing that Krishna does for Arjuna throughout? Parantapaha, the one who can scorch foes. Maharataha, the leader of all these 100,000 battalions. Then Mahabaho, mighty armed. What are some of the others? Dhananjaya. No war has he lost. Every war that he has gone into, he's come back and with so much wealth. All these wonderful glories of Arjuna, what he is known for, who he is, Krishna says, will all be burned to ash with this one Mahabharata war not fought. And then he says, what is the most important thing is that state is worse than death. Even if Arjuna fought this battle and died, he would still be happy. But if he had to live the rest of his life with dishonor, that would be worse. That's horrible. Why is life imprisonment more feared than hanging? You have to live with that for how many years? And even if you've survived that and you come out, who's going to accept you in society? It's better to die, isn't it? So very important to understand. Now, one little bit more I want to hover over this. See, none of us hopefully are dying or anything or killing anybody right now. Leave that aside. Please understand this verse from honor. What you think of yourself, whatever you've made of yourself, your corporate accomplishments, all who you are surrounded by, all of that. Bring it back to what the last many verses have been saying. It's not permanent. Do we understand that fully? The problem is that we hold on to this world. This world is not going to let us hold on to it forever. In that holding on, we consider is our honor. When that honor dissipates, we are lost. We are completely lost. That's why many retirees, whether they are celebrities, whether they are sportsmen, whether they're very highly accomplished CEOs and all of that, if they don't have a proper retirement plan that does not include all the glory and honor of who they were, they get into this depression. And the end is very, very, very sad. Swami Chinmayananda used to always say, kick the world before the world kicks you. There's a very startling line in Bhaja Govindam which says, Ma kuru dhanajana yovana garvam harati nimeshat kala sarvam. Whatever you're holding as your honor, whether it is people, all the family members, loved ones, all your friends, acquaintances, whether it is yovana, whether it's your youth, this youth that you're so proud of. When people say we'll study Bhagavad Gita in the end, when we pass away, when we're about to pass away, you're not even going to have the equipment to understand. All the Shaktis, Prana, Samana, Apana, Udana, all goes down, right? So, Yovana, Dhana, wealth, all that we are putting our honor in. This is why I feel honorable. Please understand the next line is startling. The way they say it, Harati Nimeshat Kala Sarvam. Like this, in a blink of an eye, it's all gone. And how are you going to feel then? So to understand that all of this is impermanent, we have to move away and away and away from it as we age. While we are in it, we settle in it nicely, we do what is to be done. But as we age, we have to see through the lens of the Bhagavad Gita the impermanence of it all. So very beautifully, this verse explains to us that first of all, if we don't do what we are supposed to do, everything that we have done right will be going down the drain because of that one thing that we have not done or the one thing that we have done wrong. And second thing is, it makes us question, what are we placing our honor in? Please question. What is my astitva in? Right now, my astitva is mother, husband, wife, CEO, CIO, whatever else. My bank balance, my house, my car. In a second, it can be taken away, bringing us back to the Gita. So while Gita is curative, please know it is preventative. If we understand all of this now, we don't have to meet what is inevitable in everybody's life with so much pain and struggle. We go to verse number 35. Mamshyante tvam maharathaha yesham cha tvam bahumataha bhutva yasyasi laghavam. So what is he saying over here? Great warriors, Maharatha, will think that you have withdrawn from the battle out of fear. Bhayat ranat uparatam. Having earned their respect, Bahumataha, you will fall into disgrace. Laghavam. Okay. So what he's saying over here is now he's talking about the people that Arjuna holds in high esteem and the people in whose eyes Arjuna occupies a very high pedestal. People who have always looked at Arjuna and said, wow, this is a man, this is a true man. So these people are who? Bhishma, Drona, Kripa, his peers, his own brothers, his own family, his mother. They all know, they are well versed with Arjuna's prowess. And they hold him in a certain dignity and grace. So first, Krishna brings that to light in Arjuna's mind. See, all these people who know you to be so amazing. That is why consistently, if you see the maximum times that Krishna has addressed Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita, 33 and 35 times, I'll give you all the right number later. It's between Partha and Kaunteya. Maximum, he said Mahabaho and Maharatha and whatever else. Parantapa and all. Maximum time he's brought that. Why? To remind them of this verse, which is said in chapter 2. Remember your lineage. Remember whose son you are. Partha is son of Pritha. And Kaunteya is son of Kunti. Pritha is another word for Kunti. Consistently, even in our lives, okay, when we are flustered, it's amazing to just sit back and think, who are our parents? Who are our grandparents? I'm sure all of us sitting on this panel have very, very noteworthy, may not be famous, but people that we really revere as our predecessors. Yes or not? So many of my classes, they say, if I could be half of what my mother was, if I could be half of what my grandfather was, and not to forget those who are coming after us, our children, right? So there is a lineage, there is something that we have to carry. Nowadays, there's a huge uproar on women putting up with male chauvinism and, all of this. Women being ill-treated. There's a huge uproar, and rightly so. Because if you see, we saw our predecessors, the women, being treated anyhow. So we made it a, kind of a, I think it started right from Draupadi's Vastraharan. It became a norm. So now when we are telling women, that famous verse in Bhagavad Gita will come later on, Yad Yad Acharati Shreshta. How the leader of the family, the leader of the pack behaves, that is how everybody else is going to behave. So when we tell women, stand for your truth, we are saying because your daughters are watching. If your daughters know it's okay to be abused, if they see, oh, my mother was abused, hum bhi waise hi karenge, it's no point fighting. You're understanding what is being said over here. So what Krishna is saying is that hold that honor. He's asking Arjuna that see all these people who look up to you. It will be sad that in a flash, you're going to fall in their eyes And what might they think? They know you're capable. The only thought that is going to come to their mind is, oh my God, he ran away in fear. And fear is not part of a warrior's swadharma, not a warrior like Arjuna's. You've seen, I don't know whether you all know the story of Sambhaji Raje, Shivaji's son, and how the Mughals, like they tortured him so much. They pulled out every nail, they cut out his hands, they cut out his legs, and they said, say that, don't say Jai Bhavani. And he said, no, Jai Bhavani. He died in that. He was ready to give up his life in that, but he didn't compromise. So for Arjuna, fear is definitely not a problem over here. He's not afraid of dying. If it was another war, he would have gone straight on. But he's saying those people who look up to you now will say you have run away in fear. There's that famous word, run chhod. Run chhod means you have left the battlefield and run away. How is that going to go down with you? You will fall in their eyes. So first he goes back to that lineage. Always, always. See, this is a good tip for us. Whenever we feel completely down, look at those who lived before you. And they probably would have gone through worse problems in their life. But they stood, they fought, they held their ground, and they went ahead. So first and foremost, he brings him up to the very height of what his lineage is and says, live up to it. If you don't, they're going to mistake it as fear. They're going to pity you. Like, oh my God, he got fearful and he ran away. And then the last verse for today, verse number 36. Avachavadamscha, your enemies, tavahitaha, will speak many cruel and unspeakable words, avachavadan, ridiculing your abilities, nindantas tava samarthyam. What could be more painful, dukkhataram than that? Just see the genius of Krishna's teaching abilities. From every side, he's poking this client of his as a therapist and seeing what is it that is going to work with this person. What is it that's going to shake him up and bring him back, to fight that war. So he's finished telling Arjuna about the people that he loves, the people that hold him in high esteem. Perhaps Arjuna, whose camera is on, is still not completely convinced. And he goes down and he now hits the enemies. Now that's going to hurt us. See, all of us have people, unfortunately, in our life who do not wish us well. Okay. And I remember once when I was just married and I was leaving my house, and I had this whole thing of how my stepmother had treated me and all of this. And that night when I got married, I just cried in front of my husband, who I had just met on the internet, not really somebody who I known for a long time. And I just broke down and I said, how am I going to carry this 25 years of pain and live this new life that I'm stepping onto? Where do I put all this pain? Where do I put all this injustice? Where do I just shovel it off? It's not possible. And he said one line to me. He said, the best revenge is living well. Does that hit? You don't have to go back and you don't have to sit on every single person that has wronged you. Kapil Dev, our cricketer, our Indian cricketer, when he had gone the first, you should watch that movie. I forget what that movie is called. But when when India went first time to the UK to fight, to do I'm saying fight because of this battle that we're talking about, to play the match, Test cricket or something, they were so badly insulted because of the racism over there. Like the Britishers had a field day with them. And Kapil Dev was the captain. And everybody kept saying, his team said, give it back, say something. They're talking such nonsense in the press and they're talking such nonsense in their conferences. Say something. And Kapil Dev says, best revenge is living well. He said, I won't speak. My bat will speak. And that particular match, they broke all records. They didn't have to say anything. So while all of these Kauravas have committed unthinkable atrocities on the Pandavas, yes, they had to be fought. But the most important thing is they had to win. They had to stand in their dignity. Now think, in this verse, what is Krishna telling Arjuna? He's saying, if you run away, first of all, you're going to win. I mean, the underlying tone is you are going to win this battle. Why are you going to fight this battle and win it? Because you have to reset righteousness. Correct? If you don't fight this battle, you're going to hand this battle, this kingdom, to the Kauravas, the tormentors, on a golden platter. First of all, how silly, how stupid is that? And the Kauravas, as evil as they are, because their gunas are so bad, their predominant gunas are so rajasic and tamasic, they're so swadharmically misaligned. Are they going to think, oh, wow, he's so nice, he loves us, he loves Bhishma and all, that's why he's run away. He doesn't want to fight us because he doesn't want to kill his teacher and all. No, 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 no. They're going to talk the worst things about you. They're going to tease you. He was afraid. What could he stand? Seven battalions. What could they face? 11 battalions. They were always in the wrong. They're not worthy. They are going to talk bad about you, and your enemies talking bad about you. What can be more painful than that for you? If I went on to do, this verse is very close to my heart. If I went on to do anything with my life, was to prove destiny wrong. That a rough start does not mean a finished finish. You see, it is a very huge pickup for anybody who's in the slum. Yes, wrong has been done. We sit forever. Isne wo kiya, usne wo kiya, usne wo kiya. We can spend our lifetime in it. The whole point is, can you rise like a phoenix from it? Can you do what is right? Because if you don't, then all the people that you are blaming are going to have it. Yes, anyways, they were not worth anything. They deserved that treatment. Right? Karmically, our body, mind, intellect might deserve whatever. We don't know. It comes from many, many lifetimes. Dhritarashtra lost 100 sons after hundreds of lifetimes, it is said in the stories. It wasn't a papa that he paid for right from last lifetime. So we don't know which lifetime. We've lived, Buddha saw 543 lives before he became Buddha. He saw those playing out in front of him. So the body, mind, intellect will suffer whatever consequences of karma they need to suffer. But if you align more and more to Atma and you say, I'm not the body, I'm not the mind, I'm not the intellect, but I have to pay off whatever has to be paid off and rise. That is the dignity and grace of the human race. Animals cannot. Animals are just automated. They go through their evolution. Today they'll be donkey, tomorrow they'll be cow. Then probably after cow they'll be human or whatever. I don't know how the evolution works. But for us in any one lifetime, we have the ability to transcend. So this is what Krishna is telling Arjuna. Think about it. Yes, they have wronged. And Kaurava atrocities from their childhood was something that gives you shivers down your spine. They were not normal atrocities, you see. And to those people, you're going to give this battle. And those people not even once are going to say, oh my God, this person is so great, is so amazing. Duryodhana should have said these words. I don't want to kill. He didn't. Arjuna said it. So Krishna is basically saying, don't hand it on a golden platter. First of all, don't hand them back Hastinapur, which is going down the drain under their rulership. Please don't hand it back to them. Please don't. And second thing is, don't give them a chance. They have ridiculed you. They have looked down upon you. They have kicked you. They have insulted you. They've taken away everything. They have derobed your wife. They have unhomed your mother. These people, don't give them a chance to talk bad about you. And when they talk bad, the words that are used in this verse, they're not going to talk just bad. Oh, he's so darpok. They're going to say ignoble things about you. And nothing, trust me, nothing is going to be more painful than that. Krishna asks him, what is going to be more painful for you than that? Very poignant verse. You have to sit and listen. So what is the conclusion of these three verses, basically? First of all, integrity. Let's bring it back to ourselves. Hold your integrity. The more integrity you have within yourself, which mainly circles around your swadharma and the dharma that you have to do moment to moment, hour to hour, the more you focus on that integrity, your own self-worth will increase. Your own self-respect will increase. When that self-worth and self-respect increases, then you will get it from everybody else. Thinking nothing of ourselves, we go and expect demanding respect from everybody else. So where is the cue of how do we increase our self-respect and self-worth? Holding on to integrity. Hold on to your integrity all the time. The more you are holding to that integrity, the more you will believe in yourself. The more you believe in yourself, others too will believe in you. That's number one. Number two is that only when others start seeing that you are holding yourself to your word, to who you are, to your personality, will they start developing trust in you? Will they start believing in you? That is very important for parents. See, all the compromises we have made in front of our children as parents, sadly, they are going to make the same compromises themselves. So when you know you can do better, the more you do better, the more you will have people who come after you walk in your footsteps. That very, very lovely image that comes to my mind is that the father is walking with holding the child's hand, and the child is trailing behind and the father is walking like that. And the father keeps turning around and says, be careful, be careful, be careful where you're walking. And the child looks up with wide eyes to the father and says, you be careful, dad, because I'm walking in your footsteps. Right? In that father-child thing, combination, who has to be more careful? The father. Somebody said that story of the Titanic, where there was a little child in that Titanic and she was all alone and she was like really, shriveled up and scared in some corner. And she was not scared. She was shriveled up. It was cold and she was sitting and somebody came and asked her, do you need help? Are you scared? She said, yes, I need help, but I'm not scared because my mom is on this boat as well. You understand? So we are not only carrying the lineage, the honor from the past down, we are going to better it with each generation. What our past generation did right, we are going to accentuate. What they did wrong, we are not going to repeat. That is how we improve upon generations. That is how we improve what is coming after us. Next important thing is you will have ease of mind. If you do what is to be done, if you do what you're supposed to be doing, the way you are carved out to do, you will have that ease of mind. What he spoke in the last class. Heaven. You'll have that heavenly state. If you have a checklist every day, okay, if you have a proper checklist, I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do this. When you sleep, if you've completed that checklist, don't you sleep with peace? Do you or do you not? If there are many things missing, you cannot. It's bothering you. If you go for a holiday and you have, these are the sites I want to see. When you see all those sites and you board the plane, you're happy to come back. If you haven't, what are you going to say? Oh God, I have to come back for this. That same place you want to go because you missed 2-3 sites. That's what we are doing with our debts. We have a certain allotment that we have to finish in this life. We do not know it because we are far removed from any meditation, any contemplation. We are far away. We've come with one shopping list to Mustafa. We are forgetting what we have come to shop. I gave that example last time, dal. We are picking everything else up, creating vasana pressure. So that heaven state, we said last class in the context of the Gita for now, heaven and hell are not geographic locations. They are states of mind. When we complete our list every day, every moment, you're going to rest in peace. Actually, that rip, you're going to rest in peace. If you haven't done what you're supposed to do, you're not, right? So that heaven state of mind. You refuse, there will always, if you don't do what is to be done, if you don't align to your swadharma, there will always be agitation of the mind. What happens with agitation of the mind? You do all the wrong karmas. You accrue sin. So again, you're on the de-evolutionary plane. And last of all, know yourself fully well. Know that honor part. Remember that honor part. Know who you are fully well so that you don't get carried away by praise and you don't get derailed by censure. Very important to understand that. Right now, we don't know who we are. Somebody praises us false just because they praised us. Oh my God, we are sitting on chane ke jhaad. We are not even worthy of that praise. Somebody censures us, somebody criticizes us. We don't know who we are. We get derailed. So know yourself. Arjuna, know yourself. Do what you're supposed to do. If Arjuna had known himself in that moment so much, he would have said, I don't care what people think. Bhishma knows me. I don't care what Duryodhana says. Duryodhana knows I'm in the right. So that is something we need to pay attention to.
Thank you, Avanti. That was like a detailed explanation. It covered almost every topic in the chapter. So I'll just complement a few things because everything is covered by Avanti. Everything in the book is already covered. So think about this particular shlokas 34 to 36. It is like from a very materialistic angle. So when you look at the framework of the Gita, Krishna is approaching the problem from multiple angles, right? So the first one was from a purely spiritual angle, and the next one from a very logical angle. The next one is from a sodharma, meaning from my dharma, what needs to be done. That is the angle. And finally, from a pure worldly perspective. So here, the key point highlighted is our reputation is at least at risk. That is the first thing. So the whole three shlokas were discussed from that perspective. So the first point we need to consider is this is a shift into the worldly perspective. The whole idea, as Avanti said, is like sometimes the teacher has to meet the student where they are. Krishna is a teacher who is staying in that highest level. But sometimes if you stay there and if you don't know who your student is, you cannot connect with that student. So after giving the highest teaching, he's coming down to our level because he knows that if we were related to the to a neat topic or a area which we can relate, obviously that will click. So that is why Krishna like skillfully shifts from a highest Vedantic to a materialistic worldly perspective. Again, the reason why this particular angle was invoked is to guide us to the right path. So from tamas to rajas and rajas to sattva. So that's the whole idea. So in this argument, like he talked about the devastating cost of the dishonor. So first thing is he said it is worse than death. Like a honorable person, right? Dishonor a highly respected individual, the loss of dignity, societal standing, and public respect is emotionally and psychologically far more painful than the physical death. That is the point number one. Then obviously, if like the second thing is that people, even if people don't look at the right and the wrong there, because here, if you take the case of Arjuna, he is not stopping the war because of cowardice, but this might be the interpretation of the people later. So that is another angle Krishna pointed out. And then what happened? Like this will have ripple effects on himself. Let's say that if out of now, like he just retreated from the battle, when people started ridiculing him, that is going to create that guilt conscience and also the loss of trust from the other people he may have because he is a warrior. He is supposed to protect the country. And if he is retreating from the duty, or take for example each one of us, we have a duty, and if we are running away from that duty, like it's a loss of trust. So these were some of the practical angle. If you leave Arjuna and take this shlokas into our life, that is what happens. So I think Avanti gave the beautiful example from the Shakespearean quote. So that's a very, very popular one. And sometimes even the corporate leadership, you can see these things. Sometimes in a professional world, like imagine a leader or a manager who is avoiding some tough, unpopular decisions simply because it is uncomfortable. Like by dodging that responsibility, that credibility is going to lose, and also lost trust, meaning he may lose the trust. So that is the whole idea. And I forgot the name of an athlete. Like, he was very afraid. Like, on the day before of the championship, he was very afraid. So he created a small injury in his leg. And meaning he wrote a story after that. Till the end of his life, he regrets it. So these are some of the high level points I just wanted to supplement for these shlokas, because everything else Avanti covered. Purely worldly angle. That is another beauty of the Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is not just keeping you only in the spiritual plane and keeping the. If you ignore the worldly life and only teach about the spiritual life, how much of the population is ready to receive that? Not even 1%, not even 0.001%. So Bhagavad Gita, that is what makes the Bhagavad Gita very unique compared to any other scriptures in the world. Even in the Western world, there is a phrase, right? The church and state, or like secular and sacred. Secular is different from sacred, because the sacred is only for Sundays or a particular day. When you are in that plane, or when you are in that environment, you are spiritual, and then you do everything else different. The Gita is not advising that. Gita is going to make our life spiritual. Everything, every material action into spirituality. And if something is not good to be qualified in that dignity, it is not a dignified action for a human being. That's all. As long as it is a legitimate, decent action, whether it is cooking or cleaning or taking care of my family or doing some service work or doing my worldly duty or doing your job as a professional, all that can be converted into spiritual actions. So this is the idea. And whatever, so the first thing is that you have to do actions. See, you cannot be lazy, because I was talking even the other day. There is a tendency to call a lazy person as like, okay, innocent person, good person. No, that is not the case. First, you have to get up and act. And then you have to make the right action. And then you have to transcend that right action into spiritual actions. This is the step forward. So this is the first step. Krishna wanted each one of us to do our duty, because you have to understand the belief of the olden days. Olden days, people used to say that I have to leave the world and go to Himalayas, take sannyasas, then only I'll be spiritual. That idea is completely like negated by Krishna. In one of the Upanishads, I think I told this story many times. There was a sage who was like a master of Vedas. He thought he was highly spiritual, and he went to a home and he just actually begged for some bhiksha. The lady of the house took some time to come out. The sage got really upset. How can you make me stand there? I'm a spiritual person. The sage said, like, the lady said, no, I'm not. Like, before that, there was an incident. I forgot to tell you that. So during his austerity, this once upon a time, a crow disturbed the sage from his penance. So at that point of time, this sage just looked at the crow and the crow died. So he was very much proud of himself with a lot of power, spiritual power. So this lady took some time, and the sage was a little bit upset. And the lady said, I'm not that crow who can be killed with a look. The sage was completely stunned. He said, sorry, I made a mistake. Can you teach me what is the right spirituality? She said, I'm not the right person, but I will send you somewhere. She sent him to somewhere. And when he reached, he was completely surprised. He was a butcher. So this butcher was considered as more spiritual than this sage who is sitting idle in the under the tree and thinking about the whole world. No, that's that butcher who is doing his duty with the right attitude is considered as more spiritual than the sage. So we have to understand that this is the message of the Gita, and doing the duty is important, and we saw that from multiple angles. And now the tune is going to change. After establishing How, after establishing that, you have to act, you have to do your duty. Now the tune is going to change. How should you do your duty? So we see the evolution, right? So you have to act. There is nothing wrong in doing the right thing, even if it is painful, and it is established from a spiritual angle, from a practical angle, logical angle, from a dharmic angle, from a material angle. 4. So this is between Shloka 11 to 36. And now it's going to change how to do the action. That is Karma Yoga. We are getting into Karma Yoga in the next 1 or 2. There's a bridge verse after that. We are getting in there. That's all. We can, any questions, comments?
So, Rajesh, I understand Krishna explained by steps, and I totally get it, this thing, but just like a practical thing, ideally in life, you should not be making things or making decisions based on what people will say or what you're on,
No.
or like, right?
No, that's a stimulant, right? When you're completely inertia, what is the first step? You have to use some arguments to get up and act. So that's it. So this is just a worldly perspective. And in the next few shlokas, I think that's a very interesting question. Like in shloka 50, Krishna defines karma yoga as yoga karmasu kaushal. The word kushalada, dexterity, it is usually loosely translated as the efficiency in doing action. That's it. But it's not just that. It is your ability to pick the right action, right? In a situation, there could be conflicting choices, and you may have conflicting dharmas also. There could be a mukhya dharma versus gauna dharma. So you should have the ability to pick the right action for that moment. And then what? You have to have the ability to execute that action to the best of your ability, right? And you have to have the ability to execute that action with the proper attitude, Ishwararpana Buddhi. And you should have the right attitude to take the prasada buddhi. So these 4 pillars combined together is what is going to make a karma into a karma yoga. Proper work with proper attitude, which we are going to elaborate. So absolutely, it should not be driven by the other people attitude. But let's say that if you have a lazy person at home, sometimes even people say that, right? Look at what the other people are doing or what others will say. So at least you should get up and go and do work. I've seen people saying that.
Thank you.
So we'll continue next week. But finally, like I was just battling with my schedules and the times and everything. I cannot explain to you. It's very crazy. But somewhere you have to start the Ramayana. So we are starting Ramayana properly from Thursday. So please join 8:30. We'll go with Vatmiki's Ramayana. So Vatmiki Ramayana is not an interpretation of Vedanta. It is an interpretation of Dharma. That's it. Rama is considered as like a human being. Very rarely his divinity is mentioned, but his dharmic angle is elaborated. So that's what we'll call. Thank you.
Thank you.